Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Darby Coughlin, and I'm the events coordinator here at APMP. We are so excited to officially kick off our brand new AI series live on LinkedIn and YouTube. This series is all about exploring how AI and new technologies are shaping the way we work, collaborate, and innovate. And today we are thrilled to have you here with us. I am especially pleased to introduce our guest for today's session, Jason Hill, Deputy Superintendent at Redlands Unified School District. Jason will be sharing his experience with Airtable, how he and his team are leveraging it, and what lessons we can take away for our own organizations. Before we dive in, I want to remind everyone tuning in, this is a live and interactive session. Please engage in the chat, drop your questions, and share your thoughts. We'll do our best to address them during the session, and of course, we want this to be a conversation with you. With that, I'll hand it over to Jason to get us started. Take it away, Jason.
Thank you, Darby. Hi, my name is Jason Hill, as I was introduced, Deputy Superintendent of Redlands Unified School District. I've been in this role for about 5 years. It was right before I got into this role was my initial exposure with Airtable. So today I'm going to spend a little time talking about Airtable and then the most recent Omni, which is their version of AI, and how it's even elevated it just a little bit more. Let me get my screen up. All righty. So today we're going to talk a little bit about introduction, core features of Airtable, use cases for businesses. I'll do a little demo walkthrough as well as a wrap up and question and answer. I want to preface that I don't work for Airtable, so I really can't talk about pricing. Every business is different and every relationship with the company is completely different. As a K-12 public education system, we started using Airtable, who's primarily designed and focused on businesses. So it took us a little while to kind of get involved with Airtable, but years later, we have a little bit of probably every department in our entire district's using it. So what is it? So let me bring it up. This is the home screen, and I just want to leave this up for a moment to talk about how we use it. Most of us use spreadsheets, and we've used spreadsheets for many years. And if I were to pull up just a sample spreadsheet, I'll look at this. This is a sample spreadsheet of third grade biomes. This is not business related, but we'll get to the point because I am educator. So spreadsheets consist of a tab of data that sits on the screen, and I can maneuver those tabs. I can filter them or sort them, but I can't really relate them to other tabs like a database can. The primary aspect of Airtable is its relationships with each other. And so to give you an example, I will kind of give you my introduction into Airtable. So prior to my current role, I was the coordinator for student information systems where I managed databases. Databases, if any of you have had exposure to them, is multiple spreadsheets that relate to each other where you can fill out forms. Most every single website that you have out there that you interact with is built on those database backends. When I moved into special education, I needed a new database to kind of help manage my IEPs and manage my students. I'm not a programmer. I had no programming knowledge. So I was stuck with trying to develop a new system, and I didn't know where to go. One of my tech guys was using Airtable to do tickets. Tech tickets. And so I walked over and said, hey, how do these tech tickets work? He showed me Airtable. A month later, I had a complete database consisting of all of my students, classes, and sections built out in this system. As you can see on the screen right here, I'll go over today some sample data, project management, and business org setups. But I use Airtable for staffing, travel requests, public record requests, cabinet positions where we decide who we're going to hire. We manage credit card expenses, developer fees, HR employee timelines, hiring databases. So you can adapt Airtable to work in anything in your company. If you're a single company, if you're a thousands of employees, like we have, we can all interact with each other. So let's get a little bit into this third grade biomes thing. So here is a spreadsheet, and I'm going to adapt that. I imported that spreadsheet into Airtable. One thing I just want to show you just a little bit different than everything else is this is the exact same data. However, I can apply grouping. For example, if I switch rainforest to marine, you'll notice that it gets grouped at the top. So visually, when I'm working with data, I can actually group and provide counts that are beneficial to my organization. People visually draw attention to things that look pleasant to them. And so if I can present data in a pleasant way, I get a little bit of additional attention drawn to it. Let's look at a specific use example. Let me switch to this one. Types of fields that you have in Airtable, which makes a bit difference from spreadsheets. We can have drop downs. We can have multiple select options, single line, multi-lines, where you can add multiple sets of data. We can add numbers, emails, and one of the biggest things that I like in Airtable are attachments. So you can attach files. So if you think about a hiring database, you can have applications and store those applications within the system itself. And again, I'll get into specific use examples, but I'm just giving just a slight overview of how these things work. Let's go into a specific example of actually having employees. So here's a simple spreadsheet of employees that I have. Employee name on the left, hiring date, salary, their addresses. This is all sample data, as well as their application that they submitted and any profile photos they have. You'll notice that I do have calculations in here, as I would in a spreadsheet. But one of the advantages of Airtable is its relationships. I can have another spreadsheet called departments. And you'll notice that I have 4 departments: sales, engineering, human resources, and marketing. Within each one of those departments, I have employees. You'll notice that these employees are actually coming from this employee tab over here. So if I added a new employee named Jason Hill, and then I add them to the marketing or the engineering tab, you'll notice over here, I now have Jason as a part of the department. You'll notice that each department has a total budget. It counts the amount of employees, and then I can look at employee salary on the left. This is the collection of salaries over here. So if I were to pay myself $100,000, or million, excuse me, you'll notice automatically on my other sheet that grows. So I'm using 2 different tables. One table for departments, which is collecting all of my employees on this table. I've related the 2 together, and that's technically the power of Airtable. From a database standpoint, we call them one-to-many or relationships. So for example, I have one department that can have many employees. So I can have a collection of departments on this page and then add all my employees from the other one. So I just added Emily to this department, and then the total salaries go up, as well as the calculations automatically adjust as well. Another example could be project management. A lot of businesses out there run various projects. So I might have a table of people. These are employees that were related to the projects. So here are a list of my employees. Here are my list of projects. And then I have tasks. Tasks connect projects to employees. So I can have, I can manage tasks separately from my projects. And you'll notice I can have a formula, which basically shows me how many assigned people are assigned tasks. So I can see the amount of workload that each one of my tasks or my employees have related to each task. So this is all information that I'm keeping within my database. Airtable has interfaces, which are like apps, which run on top of the data. So you can see that if I look at the task interface, this is just pulling information in a visually a visual way of looking at the data. So the data sits on this tab, interfaces sit on this tab. I'm going to get into how I built all this in a minute, but I will explain the nice thing about Airtable is I can have my data sitting in the back end that I design, and then I can give people access to interfaces to look at that data on the front end, just like an app on their phone. And I can only give them, and I can give them access to all of the data or just specific pieces of information. This is a schedule view, which shows based on timeline, how are all my tasks and projects being developed. And then I can have a roadmap, which basically gives me an overview of all of the projects and then the % completion of those projects. All of these items are related together. Automations, you can create automations that do things within the task. For example, send emails, process data, as well as join to additional products like Slack. One of the things I think I'm most comfortable talking about is Title IX. This is not necessarily related to businesses, but I want to show you a direct way of how in Redlands Unified School District, we've implemented from start to finish a way to use Airtable to solve a major problem. So federally, Title IX is a law that requires us to manage and track assault and harassment against protected classes. And we need a way to manage those. And every single time that I went out and I looked at software platforms that were built, that pre-packaged out there, I was looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars for these software packages that were not customizable or didn't really meet our needs. So I sat down with a team of people and we started looking at a way to use Airtable to manage those Title IX complaints. And so the first thing we did was built spreadsheet, or basically a table with all of the pieces of data that we need. I also needed a way for the Title IX complaint to be submitted. So I used forms that are available to the public that they can fill out. So listed on our website are these complaint forms. And when the complaint form is filled out and comes into the district, that complaint form gets filled out in this intakes table. Then it is copied through an automation to the investigations table. The investigations table is where my team of employees manage and investigate these reports. Every single time they assign a task to a site principal, they go and they assign the task to the site principal. Any document related to the Title IX complaint is filed in documents. And anytime a parent or an employee appeals that Title IX finding, it's filed under appeals. What's nice about the tasks and the documents is we created interfaces where principals, when they log in, can see their pending tasks. We don't want principals to see the entire investigation log. We only want principals to see the task that they're working with. So they log in and see this task interface. I can communicate back and forth with the principals through this communication log. And I can see the history of tasks that the principals completed through this interface. We can see a dashboard of all of our investigations that are going on in the background. And we can create reports of those same investigations. If we look at automations, I just want to show you, these are quite complicated, but we'll get to this in a minute. Is I have automations that automatic, when that form comes in, it immediately kicks off a series of automations that create, that move, automatically creates tasks for people to take care of. It automatically creates documents that we have to record, and it copies the report from intakes over to investigations. Anytime we interact with the investigations, we send emails automatically out to the appropriate people. So everybody is notified. When the form comes in, an email is sent back, automatically notifying the person who filed the complaint that the complaint is being investigated. And I also have some Spanish translations that are occurring when that form comes in. That's all being automated. So this is a very well thought out, complete database of where Redlands Unified School District had a problem. And that problem was in a way to better track and monitor these Title IX investigations. And me as a company trying to find software vendors out there that could do this, and finding they were either too expensive and didn't do what we want them to do. And so we customized one. I do want to draw your attention to the left here of these items right here. How many of you in spreadsheets have applied filters or sorting, and you shared that spreadsheet with other people, and they changed those filters and those sorts, and when you went back into it, it looked different? That happened quite often when we share spreadsheets with coworkers. They change our filters and our sorts. One of the advantages of Airtable is on the left, we can create what we call views. Every one of these views is looking at the exact same table. This is looking at all cases. You'll notice that I have them grouped by the type of case it is. This is looking at open cases. The open cases are also located here, but you'll notice that we have a status of open versus closed. These cases were reviewed by the DOJ, and these cases were closed and are ready for review by the DOJ. Again, all of this information on the left is showing all of this data I just have applied filters and sorts, and I have stored or saved those filters and sorts in the area on the left. And so I can either share out specific views on the left, or I can build interfaces to allow people to interact with the data itself. The difference between a view that's shared and an interface is views can only be read and interfaces can be edited, where we can have people edit it. Knowing where we've gone, you can see we have been creative in building HR applications where we monitor invoices, contracts. We monitor employee birthdays and set automated things like emails that go out. We monitor all of our staffing, all of our blueprints in our district. If I were to click on blueprints just to show you, this is a relatively large database which manages all of our blueprints in our district. So these are schools within our district, as well as blueprints spanning all of the years that those blueprints. Having it in Airtable allows me to share blueprints with contractors because I can create a view specifically for a contractor and then send that contractor out. It also allows me to store data in here so that everything is stored together and I don't have to create zip files and send those documents out. So there's a lot of advantages to storing this information in Airtable. Now, for the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I want to talk to you a little bit about AI. This is an AI kickoff for you guys. And this is a tool we use that I think will be very useful to a lot of businesses out there. I can tell you that Airtable primarily focuses on businesses. And so most of the resources that are out there, if I were to show you just a few of those resources, there's a community of Airtable users, primarily made up of businesses that share and get information. There are webinars that occur all the time, certifications, and then inside the help center is everything you need to know. But what was just released, which is really focused on this topic, is a new product that they have called Omni. Omni is their AI built into Airtable. So if I were to go back to my home screen and hit create, and I'm going to build an app with Omni. So I'm new. You guys most of you have just seen Airtable for the first time. You've heard me kind of ramble a little bit because I've been using it so long. Sometimes I talk a little too fast. But I said, let's build an app together. I'm going to paste a prompt, an AI prompt into this Omni. Create a base. I can call it app. Create an app. Airtable changed their languaging. I still use the term base. They call them apps now. Create an app for managing assets. I need a table that has all of my assets with descriptions and costs. I need a table for locations that connect to the assets and have a total value of all the assets in each location. Also, build an interface that summarizes the assets. And I'm going to say build. So you'll notice on the left, based on the prompt, it's going to view and update asset details, assign asset to locations, review total asset data. And you'll notice on the right, it's actually building my base for me. So we'll give it a second while it builds. But I can tell you that one of the trickiest parts of building an app is planning for that app. I am an educator by default. You can see behind me, if you can see my screen, is a whiteboard. Plenty of days where I sat on that whiteboard with coworkers, laying out what we want our app to look like before we build it. That's just a process that I go through. I have shortened that now to only using AI. So you can see that AI is building this app and it's populating it with sample data so that I can be assured it's what I'm looking for. You'll notice right here at the top, it built my assets that I instructed it to, and it built locations. I also asked it to build a interface. So it's doing that now. Airtable AI is free to all of its paid users. They provide a level of access to AI. Omni is what they call it. Literally, this is has been rolled out over the last couple months with Airtable. One of the advantages to their company is they're constantly developing and constantly rolling out new products. So it's finished. So if I were to look at what it's designed for me, it's built asset locations, assets on the left, exactly like I asked it to. So you can see it put in some computers, some smart boards, some chemistry products. It has a description, a photo of that object, total cost, and you'll notice it has an assigned location. It's interesting that it knows a little bit about me. I am in Redlands Unified School District. These are actually schools within my district. So it assigned various locations. I can always tell a linked field because it has this gray box, and I'll show you that in a minute. It gave me a deprecated value. It's using a formula where it's deprecating that value of that product. And then I want you to notice a few things. I'm going to explain this on the right-hand side in a minute. And then if I go to locations, you'll notice that here is the location, each one of my schools. Here are the assets on that first page that belong to that location. And then total asset values. It's adding together everything that it has. And you'll notice it counts them as well. Let's go back to this for a minute. And I want you to notice something. These little arrows are agents. So I am running a long text field, but I'm running a custom AI within that field. So it built this for me. I didn't ask it to. It says you are an asset management assistant specializing in educational environments. Your role is to help educational administrators quickly understand the purpose. So it's running a query and it's using the description and location of that asset to give us information. So if I were to expand this, you'll notice that it says one smartboard in the science lab, high student usage. One device assigned to staff in use since 2022. So it is literally using AI to build that long text field. Let's look at this one. It's categorizing. It's using AI to analyze the asset name and determine its most appropriate category for school inventory. So you'll notice it predicted electronics, AV equipment, classroom technology, office equipment. So if I were to switch this asset name to chair, actually, let's call it hairdryer. Let's just confuse it and regenerate what that is. Let's see what it determines. Technology, right? So AI is just using AI to read those fields. If you guys are monitoring the AI industry, you'll notice that Google has released AI fields, formula fields in Sheets. Yesterday, Microsoft announced formula fields within their Excel spreadsheets. Airtable has had AI for the last couple months, and they're all being implemented in similar ways. I'm proud to say that I've been using Airtable with these summary fields for quite a while now. If I were to go back to my Title IX database, these AI summary fields are actually giving sample questions for our investigators to use based upon the complaint that they're reading. So not only did I use AI to build this base, but I'm also using AI fields within the base. I can continue to interact with AI on the left to modify fields. I can say, can you create 10 more sample records in assets? So I asked it to create 10 more sample records in the asset table. You'll notice that I'm still within this app. And so once it finishes, it will then create 10 more records. So again, Airtable has made AI accessible within your data sets. And it's groundbreaking because I was lucky in the fact that I had a database mindset. And so it was easy for me to kind of grasp the concept of Airtable and how it uses data and relates them between different tabs. That was its power. But with Omni now, you can, and there it goes. Right, so it built those 10 new records. So, and as I said before, I can group. I just changed the grouping by location. I can rename this location. I can duplicate this and call it with photos. I'm just thinking out loud right here. And then I'm going to filter where photo is not empty. So you'll notice I have 6 records that have photos, but if I go to location, you'll notice I have 17 records. But a lot of them don't have a picture. If I were to drag this picture down, so now I'm replicating that photo, and go back to photo, you'll notice now I have 9 records because I've added. So this view is being saved. And I'm not actually affecting my location. It's all the same data. If I were to go over here, copy this, and you'll notice that I just changed this photo right here, and I go back to location, you'll notice it's changed as well. So I can create as many views as I want on the left to interact with the data. Within the business overview, just show you on my employees. I also created a few AI summaries where it is summarizing the employees' information. And I have another AI summary that is giving us their roles and their skills. So I can quickly look at that. One thing I didn't set up here today to show you, but I want to just talk about this for a minute, is AI can read PDFs. Let me go to a sample. We are a school district. We have agreements with unions, and those agreements are signed documents. We store all of our agreements within this AI product or this Airtable base. What I did was create summaries of each one of those agreements. So I have AI reading those attached documents and extracting information out of those documents and providing summaries so that when the agreement is added, I have AI summarize that agreement and then email that all to the appropriate parties. So if you think about contract management and how many of you guys work with contracts, you can upload your contracts and then have AI separate components out of the contracts for you that you can sort, filter, or email people. So all in all, I know I moved extremely fast through this presentation. It's a little weird that I don't interact with people here. So I'm going to go to questions and answers from this point on to see if we have any.
Wonderful. Jason, thank you so much for sharing that. It seems like you covered the topic perfectly, as we don't have any questions at this time, but Shannon did mention that the view function with access levels looks really helpful.
Yeah, I think if I were to look at Airtable, and the number one reason that we use it is views and groupings. Groupings and views are unique to Airtable that neither Excel or Google Sheets can do. If you're using either one of those products, every single time you share your document and someone makes a change, it affects how you see it. And so having views where you can separate by individual people, so you can literally create a view for every employee in your company who looks at the data the way they need to look at the data. They can group it the way they want to group it, they can filter it, and they can sort it. And so from an HR perspective, I can have a single base that has all of my applicants, and I can have the different people that handle the different part of the application with a different view. And so they can quickly get to the data they need, and they can quickly solve that product. And what's even more advantageous for this is we share those bases with all the appropriate departments. So I've torn down silos where HR only works on HR stuff. Where, let's say HR was protective over something that they had to do. They can create a view that only has what we're allowed to see. And so you can filter that and share out just what you need to and maintain that privacy and that control over the whole data. So it's super useful.
Wonderful. And what's your experience with the AI summary of the PDF files? We also have some kudos for that tool as well.
I've recently started using that. I have to tell you that, for the last couple of months, AI has been talking about that as a huge kind of a game changer for them. I would say in the past 3 to 4 weeks, I've started to build bases using those PDF summaries, and they have been spot on. What I didn't show you was we have agreements with various vendors. So I upload those agreements, and then I pull, using the AI summaries, I pull risk out of the agreements that summarizes it. Now, you can do all of this with an AI. I can upload an agreement into ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever AI tool I'm using and have it pull out all the appropriate pieces. But it's just sitting in my chat, right, with me. And so what I can do now is I can upload all those agreements into this product, call it agreements, pull out all of the risk, all of the appropriate pieces, the money side, give it to budget. I can pull out the risk side and give it to risk management. I can pull out, any part of it, put it into its own view or interface, and share that with that appropriate department. And so now I can have a single place with all of our contracts, and I can share out what I need to the appropriate people. It is excellent at extracting data from PDFs. I would say it's a little stronger than most large language models because it reads the whole PDF, whereas a lot of large language models will stop after a little bit once their context window is full. So it's just done a good job.
Wonderful. And with those PDF summaries, does it need to be OCI prior to the upload, or will the platform do that itself?
I can't answer that. Most of our PDFs that I've uploaded, no, you know what? It has red images. It does use ChatGPT. You can actually choose. I won't show it, but when you build your AI field, you can choose amongst several models from ChatGPT, Claude. There's multiple models you can choose from. And if you're used to using those models, some are better at recognizing images than others. And so if I'm not getting the AI response I want, I just switch the model. And I've done that quite a bit where I have switched models.
Wonderful. And for all those that are asking, this is being recorded. So if you missed any of the presentation today, you can go back into the recording and see how excuse me, how Jason displayed those tools. So Jason, another question, what are some other platforms that you took a look at before committing to Airtable? Maria here wonders why you chose Airtable instead of Microsoft Lists.
Well, to be honest with you, so again, if I go back to my history, I managed Aries, which was a relational database on the back end, but you need a web front end. And so what I was struggling with was having the ability to customize my database back end, but I needed someone to build my front end. And that required an investment in time and resources to have somebody develop it. And a lot of times there was Google at the time and even Microsoft at the time were advertising products, but none of them were as robust or web-based like this one was. And so I was able to quickly adapt and build that database backend. And I'm going to use database loosely because it's really just a spreadsheet, right? No code. I just have to know how to use spreadsheets to use this. I would say over the last couple of years, their advancements into interfaces has changed the game because I can build now graphical front ends by drag and drop. So it looked complicated, but it's actually not that complicated to use. And once you start working within these bases, you can build them relatively easy. And with Omni, you don't even have to know how to think Airtable. You can just describe what you want and let it build it.
It's wonderful. We have another question here. How reliable is it in handling sensitive data?
I'm going to preface that how reliable is any AI tool? Let's talk about two different things. Airtable itself is HIPAA compliant, right? So it's COPA, HIPAA, FERPA, all of those various compliance pieces. Depending on the level you, like for example, the enterprise scale, you actually can sign HIPAA agreements with them. So the data held within Airtable is secure. When I refer to the AI fields, it's actually using the API backends to ChatGPT and Claude. And so Airtable does a level of protection. They don't share or train that. No data is trained. So there's a level of security there. I always preface any using any AI tool though. I don't throw a lot of highly sensitive data into AI tools. I do a level of cleaning beforehand. But Airtable confirms that no training is made. they'll provide the securities that your company needs. You just have to talk to them.
Wonderful. And how collaborative is Airtable? Does it allow interfaces for external stakeholders like clients or partners to review without exposing the full data?
Correct. One of the advantages to interfaces is that. So one of the struggles we had, I would just even say a year ago when interfaces didn't exist, was your data's inside this base. And in order to share the base, I have to share all of it. I could create a view and hide columns in the view and share the view, but there was no way for anybody to edit that view. If you wanted someone to edit the data, they had to have access to all the data. If you wanted someone to see it, you could create views. But with the interfaces, you can actually build an interface that has filters applied to it. You can share any specific data you want with anybody you need to. If they're in your organization and they have an account, you can specify what they can see and tie it to their account. If you're going to share those links externally without having an account that they log into, you basically are just sharing whatever data you want to share. So long story short, you can share specific data through an interface without sharing the whole base.
Wonderful. And our last question for you, how does Airtable handle reporting for compliance-heavy documents? Any experience with that?
I'm struggling with how to answer that. I don't know that I have experience with, I don't know what we would consider compliance heavy. We use Airtable in our compliance department to manage cases, to manage, risk, inventory, and we're now starting to use AI within those documents, and we haven't had any trouble.
All right, wonderful. Jason, thank you so much again for sharing your experience with Airtable. It was so great to have you on our new AI series today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right, and thank you to everyone who joined us live today. We appreciate your questions and all your engagement. Please be sure to follow APMP on LinkedIn and subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss the next episode of our AI series. We've got more great conversations ahead, and we can't wait to see you there. Thank you so much again.